All right, y'all. Peace, 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 peace. Um, Let me break it down like this, right? For years, shout out to, you know, all the people who created or helped participate. Let me say it like this, what I'm saying, all the stupid arguments going on. Early pioneers, because they're all pioneers at the end of the day. What I'm saying, if they was there in the early 70s and then the mid 70s, you know what I'm saying. I know for years I see certain individuals from that era, and shout out to all of them, because if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be a genre of rap music or hip hop, and I wouldn't be in the studio recording rap. You know what I'm saying, or anything like that. So, but for years I've seen back and forth between certain individual pioneers, right? And you hate to see that. On top of all this, uh, foundational Black American versus Puerto Rican. But the only thing I haven't seen in this argument, and I've been watching this YouTube channel called The Culture. Shout out to The Culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they snap a lot. Puerto Rican sometimes lately, but I've been watching that channel before that, and before that it was almost like they were just documenting what was going on at that time in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. But I could see from there and from other places, there's back and forth that goes on, and people feel like certain people are not getting recognized, and understandably. And in that argument years ago, I see that there is or was animosity towards Bambaataa, because he did take a lot of the individuals that were with Disco Mario, who was like the first hip hop DJ, you could say that officially, not officially, but he probably was. Taking people away from him and having them join his organization, which became Zulu Nation. And looking at everything that has happened since 2016, and these are interviews that were done before 2016, I often wonder now whether this was all what Bambaataa did at that time to get all those people that were with Disco Mario into his organization, Disco Mario Drive, and then kind of rewrite history, because that's what he did. A lot of those guys said, including some of the members of the Black Spaces, that's what he did, but they don't seem to be mad about that now, or even then. That it just, and that's kind of fucked up. Knowing what we know now about Afrika Bambaataa, how Zulu was organized, and bringing, supposed former gang members into Zulu, because Zulu, it turns out, they were acting like a gang, you know what I'm saying? And I heard this for years. I've been hearing this and seeing this since I was 13, when Geraldo Rivera interviewed some of the Zulus, and he was like, yo, why did we have a manuscript or something that you guys wrote a letter and threatening somebody? Why did you threaten it? And they couldn't. But at that time, I was 13, and I was kind of mad at Geraldo Rivera. Like, damn, why you going that? And then later on, Geraldo Rivera is very pro-establishment, even though he used to be a community activist. He used to be a supporter of the Young Lords and the Black Panthers, but then you got disillusioned with the 1968 Democratic Convention, excuse me. I think it was 68 or 69. So he's very pro-establishment. So I never looked at it like that. But very, very pro-establishment. So I just didn't rock with him after a while. I used to like him, but then as you get older, you start to see where his position is in general. But he had something. It was something there, you know what I'm saying? Because I did hear off and on for a long time it was from the media. So I heard the media say Zulu was like a gang. So I said, maybe not. But then I believed it because why would they report it? And it turns out it was true. A lot of the stuff, especially with some of the victims that came forward now and all that. And I know I'm speaking just off the top. I'm not as focused as maybe some people are in trying to get to the point. But my point is, if Afrika Bambaataa purposely grabbed these guys that were with Disco Mario to start his own thing, and then he pushes Disco Mario to the side, to me that's a form of disrespect, right? And I'm kind of surprised. And yeah, they're mad that Disco Mario doesn't get his name recognition, but a lot of that has to do with Afrika Bambaataa. Yet I don't hear people being mad at Afrika Bambaataa. I don't hear the pioneers who were there in the very beginning, the building blocks of hip hop, being mad at Afrika Bambaataa. And I'm talking about guys like DJ Faze, you know what I'm saying? And anybody, from that, and maybe they don't know. Now they'll say, well, they heard rumors for a long time that Bam was gay, but nothing like that. But now that they know that Afrika Bambaataa and probably other members of Zulu and maybe some other guys that Afrika Bambaataa knew who were homosexual were raping these teenagers, you know what I'm saying, or enticing them to have sex with them, because of course there was probably some teenagers that was down with it, and then there was some that was scared, and somebody just woke up and it's like a big dude on top of them and all that. It's just rape. So for all the allegations that he molested, had sex with these young teenagers for years, going back to the 70s, not just in the Bronx, not just in New York City, but in places like the UK, Brazil, Africa. And I'm still waiting for some of your pioneers to be mad at that. What I see from far, and I'm not trying to disrespect the pioneers, but I'm just saying from afar, I see that certain individuals are mad that they were left behind, or they don't get recognition, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's a very selfish reason to be mad at Bam for, when you should be mad at Bam for doing that and then creating Zulu Nation supposedly being anti-violence, but yet they were violent, and then all the while using the organization for Afrika Bambaataa and others to get away with molesting young teenagers, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it looked like it happened. I think everything was calculated. I think what he did was very calculated, and I still don't see the pioneers being mad at that, trying to get Afrika Bambaataa excommunicated from the culture, or the genre, if you want to call it a culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just speaking as an outsider, because I'm an outsider. I wasn't there. I'm young. I was born in '78. Wasn't there, but I'm just saying, yeah, Bam was there, but at what point do you ignore, why he took all those people away from Disco Mario, why he pushed Disco Mario to the side, why he created Zulu Nation in the first place, and why the Zulu for all these years cover up the fact that he was having sex with young teens, and they knew it. They knew it because you could hear the phone call between Ronald Savage and some of these other guys, Mr. Biggs included. You hear them talking. I think so. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. See, if y'all care about the future and the music and the young kids, I would think that the pioneers would be a little bit more radical and going at Afrika Bambaataa for what he did. You know what I'm saying? And I'm surprised that even the government hasn't, or at least the district attorney of New York hasn't like investigated this. You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about lots and lots. I mean, talking about thousands of teenagers in New York City, and then more outside New York City that were molested. You know, because it's rape. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, because I'm pretty sure Bam knew how old these teenagers were. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that he did not know, and I think that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way to cover up for the brand and the whole Zulu thing. I'm from Brooklyn. I respect the Zulu. I was mad at Geraldo Rivera for saying what he said, but I never idolized Zulu either. I never idolized Afrika Bambaataa either. I just respected the music. We from Brooklyn. Brooklyn don't kiss up to nobody. We don't look up to nobody. Especially guys like me that grew up with our fathers. Like, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and you know, a lot of it has to do with egos. A lot of it has to do with money. Everybody wants to have their names in the book, their names in the documentary, and so with all this argument about who created what, who created the scratching, with the more African Americans than Puerto Ricans, nobody seems to be mad about. Should Zulu Nation even exist? Should Afrika Bambaataa be talked about, but then be like, okay, now you gotta get away from there? Like, I mean, then when you ask that to them, they'll say, but those are allegations. But we know now, technically these are not allegations. You know what I'm saying? Because even with the UK stuff, like, there was an individual from the UK who was considered one of the most important people in hip hop in the UK. When the Afrika Bambaataa scandal broke, he committed suicide. Now, why would he commit suicide all of a sudden after the scandal broke, unless he was molested himself? So, to me, I think it's very selfish for the pioneers not to mention it, not to have a meeting and then come forward and say, look, we're gonna excommunicate him from this. He's no longer a part of hip hop, you know, and try to. And the thing is, nobody from that era has ever reached out to these victims. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen any of them go to Bronx River, go to various parts of New York City, and talk to the victims and say, hey, look, brother, what was good, man? What happened? Speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Like a brick brother. You know what I'm saying? And because these are serious allegations, but we know they're true. And also, not just manipulating these teenagers to have sex with a grown man or grown men, but to manipulate them to commit acts of violence. All the while, you're telling the whole world peace, love, and unity, and having fun with James Brown. And you know, you can tell. I see people all day argue James Brown is hip hop. The hip hop community embraces James Brown, but what does that have to do? You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm bringing that up is because he did that song with Afrika Bambaataa, you know, love, peace, unity, and having fun. Obviously, that's not what Zulu Nation was about. You know what I'm saying? That was a way to sell Zulu Nation. It was a way to sell a brand. It wasn't a way for... it wasn't a way... Let me say this in another way. So there's a lot of good individuals in Zulu. And from what I heard, they did a lot of give backs and programs for the kids. Not that I heard that much, but somebody told me they did. But it was all, to me, looking at everything and looking at the timeline, it was all for show. It was all for show. It was a way to cover up the fact that they were doing all these violent acts. On top of that, those violent acts I guess we're in a way to intimidate anybody who wanted to come forward about what Afrika Bambaataa was doing with these kids. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I look at it. I think it was very cold calculated the way Bambaataa manipulated people to join the Zulu Nation back in the early mid 70s. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's what it sounds like. And y'all pioneers, man. Y'all let that happen. We never complained about it. And then when the allegations came forward, you was like, oh, I didn't know. I heard he was gay, but I didn't know. Okay. So, respect. But now that you know, isn't it? Shouldn't you guys do something about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if hip hop is a culture, and the kids underneath the culture are getting raped by somebody that represents the culture, and you're not gonna do anything about it, and you're just gonna keep bringing up his name like he's a superhero, which he's not, then that's a cult, an occult. Zulu Nation is not only a cult following, but hip hop has become like an occult. You know what I'm saying? Not a culture. You know what I'm saying? An occult. You just follow the leader, no matter what he does, no matter what the accusations are. It's no different than Dr. York, and Bam, you know, studies Dr. York, supports Dr. York, even though Dr. York, we all know what he did to end up in prison. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's kind of disgusting, and you know, I have no comment about what Ronald Savage is doing. That's his prerogative. If he wants to keep backtracking, keep changing his stories around, that's fine. You know, but we all know the truth, and the truth is more powerful than a mirage. You know, because what we all seen from Zulu Nation growing up was just a mirage. That's not really what they are about. You know. Because if it was really about that, there wouldn't be no gangster rap, there wouldn't be no violence, there wouldn't be poverty in the Bronx or anywhere else. And yet you see that nothing has changed since the creation of Zulu Nation. Nothing has changed. It's all about the brand, all about the temple of the hip hop, all about the museum, but it's not about actually helping the community, not or helping these kids get off wherever the situation they're coming from, or helping parents get off drugs. You know, the people who are really doing that are the people working in drug rehabilitation programs and stuff like that. They're the ones that's really doing stuff like that. You know, so what's the whole point of having, you know, an organization like Zulu? What's the whole point? Why can't hip hop just be a genre? You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is supposed to be a genre. Rapping, DJing, a little bit of dancing. That's all hip hop is supposed to be about. But Bam went through this whole thing where he grabbed a bunch of people around Disco Mario, left Disco Mario out to dry, never mentions his name, blows up, then creates Zulu Nation, and then Soul Silent Force comes out and creates Zulu Nation for what? For what? You know what I'm saying? Breakdance and DJ group, that was already together. Why do we need Zulu Nation? What for? What was the purpose? Knowledge? Again, we didn't need. We already had Mary Mel telling us a child was born with no state of mind. We didn't need Zulu Nation to tell us that. You know what I'm saying? So, what was the whole point of Zulu Nation then? Unless the whole thing was fraud. It was a fraud, you know, to create Zulu Nation as a way to get away with other things and to commit other things, commit other acts, you know what I'm saying, or violence and all kinds of rape and stuff like that. That's what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? Which means that a lot of those people that joined Zulu, that used to be gang members, that joined Zulu afterwards, they never changed. You know what I'm saying? That means they never changed. So the whole point of Zulu, to me, it looks like it was just created to create a gang organization or organizational gang to get away with a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? But to do all these other things to the community, so that way the government won't investigate them. That's what it looks like to me. Almost like it's like the mafia, almost. No, I mean, what's that law? Damn. Is it the RICO Act? I mean, what they charge mafia for? You know, like, so it's all about and from Zulu, anybody that was brainwashed by Zulu, then they branch off into doing temples and museums, and none of this benefits anybody. You know what I'm saying? Not against having a hip-hop museum, because we have a rock and roll museum, but we don't really need a museum either. Like, does house music need a museum? Does freestyle music need a museum? Does reggae music need a museum? I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. But what I just said, that makes sense to me now, because I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks. It makes sense to me now why Zulu Nation was created, because Bam was probably doing all these illegal activities, whether it's violence, whether it's having sex with young teens. He was already doing this before that. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that this was a way to cover up what they were doing, so the government or the police wouldn't, you know, investigate them or look into it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's what it looks like to me. And the pioneers look like they're mad because they didn't get to jump on the bandwagon, or they didn't jump on the bus, so they got left behind from the bus, the Zulu bus, instead of being, you know, now that some of these pioneers have a YouTube channel, I think it would be good to kind of speak on what Bam did and some of the violence and all that. You know what I'm saying? Kind of use your channel to debunk Zulu Nation. You know what I'm saying? Because Zulu Nation lost all credibility. Nobody in hip hop, even that's in hip hop right now, really cares about Zulu anymore. That's past. That brand is gone. You know what I'm saying? But Zulu's still here. They still got chapters, I guess, and there's a lot of good people in Zulu. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. And there's a lot of good people that put in work. But for all the good Zulus out there, just ask yourself, okay, what's the point? The culture can be preserved without an organization. All the pioneers need to do is stop arguing with each other. That's all. Once they get together, once they make their amends, you know, that's it. And then they can teach the youth, and they can show what the culture is about. We don't need an organization. A museum is good, but an organization like Zulu, nah. I don't see it. You know, and I can speak on it because I'm a grown ass man now. I've seen hip hop come full circle. You know, when I was a kid, I know I don't look like my age, but when I was a kid, I remember seeing Red DMC on American Bandstand. That's all right. So it's not like don't know what I'm talking about. And then I grew up in the golden era. I don't look it, but I grew up in the golden era. I'm still young. We still young anyway. But so, and I still listen to Soul Sonic Force, yes, but not all the time. You know, just it's kind of hard for me now. You know, like to go back to the videos and knowing that Mr. Biggs was involved in trying to bribe Ronald Savage. But Ronald Savage was probably looking for the bag. And you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. The whole situation is crazy. But I see no other reason why Zulu was created but for that reason alone. It was basically to cover up all the crimes that Bam and whoever else in that circle were doing. You know? And that's it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess it's guys like me that are willing to bring it up in videos, you know what I'm saying? Or to bring up, you know, Busta Rhymes' bodyguard being killed in a video shoot or stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, those things are more important. You know, a bodyguard being killed for doing his job is important. An innocent person being killed or shot in the face is important. teenagers being molested by grown-ass men supporting male teenagers, I don't think it's that important to say which group created hip-hop, because DJ Faze may have one opinion, the other black spades may have one other opinion. Dr. Cologne, who wasn't even there, has his opinion. Have nothing against him, but I'm not a Puerto Rican nationalist. I'm an American. All I care about is that the pioneers need to get their facts straight. But on top of that, just kind of take the allegations more seriously against Afrika Bambaataa and start worrying about, oh, he's keeping my name away and I'm not getting the recognition. Well, we all know who you are now, and you're explaining who you are. Now it's time for you, eventually, for you to call out Afrika Bambaataa and Soul Sonic Force and Zulu Nation, all them dudes. But not all the members of Zulu Nation, just the ones that were with band the whole time. His managers, DJs, all that. That's how I feel. A lot of people feel the same way. So all this whole arguing, this trolling that's going back and forth about, Puerto Ricans versus Foundation of Black Americans, that's a sideshow to me. As a sideshow. Wherever the truth goes, if DJ Faze said these are the small number of guys that were starting hip hop in the early 70s, then I gotta go with him because he was there in the beginning. I go with DJ Faze, you know what I'm saying? Because anybody else wasn't there, But was it really an issue? Nah. And I know where it came from. But that's a separate video. I'll probably do a separate video on that. But I know where it came from. And as usual, when things get out of control, when one person says one thing and another person says another thing on YouTube, and then that's where we're at. And there's a lot of YouTube trolls that want to copy what other people talk about. But nah, let's stick with this right here. Because at the end of the day, hip-hop culture is black culture, black American culture, excuse me. So it was founded by black Americans. Most of them were African American, if not all of them, because there were street jams in the Bronx before that. But the main issue is some of these pioneers are bringing up Bam's name in a good way, even though other people, pioneers or people that were involved who were there, who don't have a YouTube channel, are saying that they have a gripe with Bam. So why are you putting Bam in a positive light? If you're gonna be factual, you're gonna be actual factual, Bam destroyed Disco Mario's career, whatever career he had. Because to me, that was like a beginning of a career from the stories I've seen and heard about Disco Mario. He would have been all the way to the top if it wasn't for all those people leaving him for Afrika Bambaataa, right? So that means Bam is cold and he was calculated and the way he moved back then until now. And yet y'all don't want to really call him out. Y'all want to call each other out. You know what I'm saying? But y'all don't want to call Afrika Bambaataa out for what he did and for the violence in Zulu Nation. I have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking as a fan of hip hop, as somebody that did at least the rap aspect of it. And I did a little breakdancing when I was a kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a student of the culture. We all students, but because we wasn't there, none of us was there. But that's how I feel, and instead of trolling, just think about the bigger picture in life. You know what I'm saying? Because I see a lot of dudes trolling, but they don't have no life. They're trolling for the sake of trolling. They're doing videos to get algorithms. You're not gonna make a lot of money on YouTube. I'm not doing this for money. I do these videos just to speak my mind, and I haven't been doing them a lot lately. Because I live my life outside social media. I'm not active this way. I live my life outside. I live the real life. So, but I felt I needed to do another video about this again, and just to be put a little bit more in on this whole discussion about who did what, who created scratching first, and why he created scratching. Man, listen, y'all arguing because you're involved in documentaries and books, and there's money involved, but there's no money involved in calling Bam for molesting young teenagers. There's no money in that, so nobody wants to talk about it. I think that's a selfish thing to do. If y'all care about the future, you care about teenagers, the youth, then y'all need to speak on that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of arguing each other over who started what. Because at this point, I don't think anybody gives a shit who started what. You know what I'm saying? All we want is justice. You know what I'm saying? That's all we want. And I don't have, one more thing. I would like to hear, since Tariq Nasheed has a lot to say, I would like to hear him speak on the Afrika Bambaataa situation. I'd like to hear him get involved, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being an agent of chaos, like it usually is, you know what I'm saying? Trying to start shit with ADOS, trying to start shit with Tommy, Sotomayor, and now this, trying to rev up an argument that didn't even exist. So what's your opinion about Afrika Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation? No comment on that? You don't want to do a documentary about that? You just want to do a documentary about who created hip-hop, right? Microphone check, but you don't want to do a documentary about interviewing these kids and why Bam did this and did that. And see where everybody's head minds is at? And you see how certain individuals, they go here, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of chaos and division there. Then that same person goes here, and there's division and chaos there. Like, bro, that's the ultimate trolling. I'm saying that's the ultimate trolling. But let's see if somebody do a documentary about all the children being molested. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on with Bam. All right, that's all I gotta say. Peace.